Good evening and welcome to the CNN SI Time Warner Cable Channel 52 Prep Football Game of the Week. Tonight from Foothill High School, the 2-3-1 Trojans entertain the winless Ridgeview Wolfpack, who are 0-6.
Well, Mark, I think tonight, if you're Ridgeview, you want to get off to a good start. They need a victory for this program. And this year they haven't won a game, but I think the key tonight for Ridgeview is just to establish a line of scrimmage, see if they can get their running game going, because if they get the running game going, Mark, that's going to keep the ball away from Foothill, because the defense of Ridgeview has really struggled this year. So the key for them will be get their running game going, control the clock, and control time of possession.
Well, Dennis, both teams have struggled defensively this year, but both have moved the ball offensively, especially on the ground.
Well, I think when you look at Foothill, Mark, they're 2-3-1 right now, and they've got to get something going. They've got to get some momentum in the Southeast Yosemite League. So look for them to try to establish a line of scrimmage, get the running game going with the Renevies and Hurd. And I think if they can do that, they'll probably be victorious tonight.
And both teams have limited roster sizes because of injuries.
Yeah, that's always a problem, especially late in the season. A lot of players go both ways and they get injured. But I think tonight for Ridgeview, this is a confidence builder, Mark. They've got to come out and maybe play really good defense, have a lot of intensity, maybe get a couple turnovers. Hey, they might get a victory.
It's Ridgeview and Foothill tonight on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Over the last 60 years, our law firm has helped thousands of accident victims win millions of dollars. But our work goes beyond the money. It's really about people. 15 years ago, I represented the mother of a 4-week-old baby who was permanently brain damaged when her infant seat failed in an automobile accident. I testified before the legislature and fought for laws to protect children. Today, children are safer because of those laws.
When you need us, we'll be there.
Have you videotaped a special event that just has to be shared with your friends and relatives? Then Time Warner Productions is the only place you'll need to go for quality on-time duplication. We'll take your videotape and transfer it to whatever format you want and make enough copies for everyone on your list. We'll even convert your foreign videotapes to meet American standards, as well as convert your videos to send overseas. Just stop by Time Warner Productions in the Time Warner Cable office on Select Avenue and tell us, I need a dub. It's fast, easy, and the only way to go to get multiple copies of your videos.
Holiday Ford Lincoln Mercury is clearing out the 98s. Now we have $1,000 cash back, plus 0.9% financing on Escorts, Contours, Mystiques, Tracers, and Rangers. Now that's real savings. How about a red carpet lease on a new 98 Explorer? Come in and buy one, and the first payment up to $500 is on us. Don't make a wrong turn. Make the turn for Lerdo Highway in Shafter. We're easy to get to from both the 5 and 99 freeways. Say habla español.
Come to Holiday!
And a pleasant good evening from Foothill High School tonight. The Foothill Trojans take on the Ridgeview Wolfpack. Foothill 2-3-1 coming in at Ridgeview, winless at 0-6. The Wolfpack lost to Highland last week, 27-0 in a game in which they were only able to gain 32 total yards. So they are 0-1 in the Southeast Yosemite League in their first year in the SEYL. Foothill at 0-0 in league. They haven't won since they tied Buchanan.
Well, Mark, I think Foothill really has to establish themselves tonight. You know, we look at the Southeast Yosemite League, and of course, Bakersfield appears to be the dominant team. But behind Bakersfield, you have East Bakersfield, who's been struggling a little bit lately, especially with their offensive side of the ball. And of course, Foothill now been struggling. They need to get back on a winning streak. Conference opener is so important. And then, so right now, I think for Foothill, it's a big game tonight to get going in the conference.
Foothill with black jerseys, gold pants. Ridgeview, gold jerseys. Should I say white jerseys, gold pants, and we get set to go. Foothill moving left to right. Across your TV dial here in the first quarter, and Ridgeview in the opposite direction. Both teams have been beset by injuries during the course of this year. Foothill did not have a deep team as far as the roster size is concerned at the start of the season. And they have about 3 or 4 guys that are injured as we talk to you right now. Ridgeview having a tough time in the first year in the Yosemite Division. Foothill with the ball. Take it across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. This year for the Trojans, Taylor Myers, a quarterback, has passed for 289 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Ismail Arenavis has run for 611 yards and 6 TDs at tailback. Chris Schaefer, wide receiver, 5 receptions, 105 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Number 20, the ball carrier, midfield 50, makes a nice move. It looks like he'll go the distance to the 20, 10, touchdown, Ismail Arenavis. That's over 60 yards in that one. Made a nice move at the 40-yard line.
Well, Mark, that was just a great cutback, and he just sprinted down the left sideline. And again, great blocking by the offensive line of Foothill. They wanted to come out, like we talked about earlier in the pregame show, establish their line of scrimmage, establish their running game, and I guess you could say they did it here in that first offensive series.
About a 62-yard run by Arenavis. We saw him earlier in the year. I think it was his first or second start, his first start, and he had a big game against North High and a 2-point victory for Foothill. PAT is up. It is no good, wide to the left. So the Trojans lead at 6-0. Homecoming here at the Trojan Stadium. They strike first and very early, 11-18 to play in the first quarter, 6-0 Foothill.
Well, Mark, again, we see Ridgeview having a little bit of a problem defensively, especially against the run. They're the lowest ranked team in the city against the run this year. And again, they're just giving up gobs of yardage on the ground. They're going to have to find a way to shore that up, maybe play 8 or 9 men in the box, try to stop Foothill, because Foothill's not really a threat to pass. So if I was Ridgeview here, I would put a lot of guys up at the line of scrimmage defensively and really try to hold Foothill down, because right now it's a situation where Foothill on that first offensive series just dominated the line of scrimmage.
Ridgeview had given up over 2,200 yards in total defense this year, over 1,700 on the ground, add about 60 to that. Foothill this year offensively had gained 1,421 yards, 1,033 rushing. So both teams have been somewhat porous defensively, but especially against the run. But in the other sense, neither team passes very much. So we'll see what happens. Foothill coming off a 24-7 defeat to Centennial, in which they didn't do too much. Ridgeview loses to Highland last week, 27-0. In a game which they only gained 32 total yards. 32 yards for the entire game, the Wolfpack. As the kickoff comes to them, Myers kicking it away. Grant has a knee down as they receive the ball. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Ridgeview at their own 6-yard line. That's something you can't do in high school or college ball, is put your knee down.
Yeah, I think he just kind of forgot there, you know, was in his anxiety to catch the football there, Mark. He accidentally had his knee down. But again, now we've got an opportunity to look at Ridgeview for the first time this year. And we know they've got a pretty effective running game, Mark, and they're going to try to run the football against Foothill. It'll be interesting to see how their offensive line squares up against the Foothill defense.
Dalen Powell, number 25, has run for 733 yards and 7 touchdowns this year. The quarterback is Ron Venters. He's passed for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brown the ball carry, sweep right. Cuts inside to about the 9-yard line. There's the big man up front, number 77, senior, Rodney Lyle. Goes at 6'4", about 310 pounds, an outstanding wrestler. He also plays nose guard and defense. He is not difficult to spot. Big number 77, lining up at right guard, not right tackle.
Well, Mark, also last year he was 4th in the state in the discus. So he ended up behind Van Mounts, who won the state championship at Bakersfield High School, who's now at USC. So he's quite a track performer, too.
I formation for the Wolfpack. Down 6-0 here early against Foothill. Dalen Powell again hit and dropped in the backfield at the 8-yard line. Foothill showing very good pursuit defensively. James Ray, actually, the ball carrier for Ridgeview, number 20. And Foothill penetrating across that Ridgeview offensive line as we have 3rd and 8 for the Wolfpack. 10-18 to play in the first quarter.
Well, Mark, normally in this situation it might be a passing down, but of course when you're Ridgeview and struggling offensively, you don't want to have any turnovers here and put your defense in a bad situation. So look for a run.
I formation for the Wolfpack. Powell, ball carry, hits very hard as he gets across the 12-yard line and driven back. It'll be 4th down for the Wolfpack. So Foothill should come up with very good field position. Leading 6-0 here early in the first quarter of a Southeast Assembly League game at Foothill High School. Foothill 2-3-1 coming in. Ridgeview 0-6. And Foothill has struck very early tonight. Jason West standing back deep for Foothill in his own territory at the 48-yard line.
Mark, on that defensive series by Foothill, number 87, Sanders, did a good job at defensive end for Foothill, really plugged up the line of scrimmage and stuffed the run for Ridgeview.
Well, basically, Foothill knows that Ridgeview is primarily going to run the football. That has been their bread and butter. But in the other sense, Ridgeview should know that Foothill is probably going to run the football. Penalty against Ridgeview. And they'll be punting from their end zone. Robert Martinez, the punter for the Wolfpack. He'll be standing about a yard or 2 yards away from the end line. As Jason West back at midfield for the Trojans. 9:18 to play in the first quarter. Nice snap. The punt is blocked. Knocked through the end zone. 2 points awarded to Foothill. And Ridgeview will either kick off or punt from their own 20-yard line.
Again, Mark, the breakdown in the Ridgeview special teams, it's been a problem for them all year. And a situation there where there's a tremendous rush by Foothill that time because they had him in a situation where the punter was punting out of his own end zone. Foothill got a great push on the defensive side of the ball, was able to block the ball, and then, of course, out of the end zone, that's a 2-point there.
Ned Permenter, the longtime coach at Foothill. Bill Richardson, at his first year as head coach at Ridgeview. He was defensive coordinator at Centennial for a few years. Coach Manning at West High also was a coach at Centennial for a few years. So some of the Centennial assistants of the past are now head coaches.
Well, Mark, number 53 on that play, John Sturgeon, was one of the defenders in on the play who helped deflect that punt. So again, Foothill being very aggressive here in the first quarter. We talked about them opening up the Southeast Yosemite League, and they've got to come out with a victory. They want to reestablish themselves because if you look at this team, nobody's really been doing much of anything. Foothill's really been struggling quite a bit, and East Bakersfield's been struggling recently too. So Bakersfield become the dominant team in the Southeast Assembly League. I think the Southwest Assembly League now has become much more balanced.
I believe the same thing is in effect this year. As Ridgeview kick off from their own 20-yard line. Comes to about the 25. Arnavis up the middle to the 40 and to the 43-yard line. That's some great blocking on that long touchdown run of 62 yards. Made a great cut to the 40-yard line in Ridgeview territory and simply sprinted to the end zone. That adds to his total this year. Come again. Arnavis 611 yards and 6 touchdowns. He now has 7.
Well, Mark,
nothing Foothill.
Excuse me, Norman Richards, Foothill High offensive lineman, made a great block to Springer Ridgeview on that first offensive surge for the touchdown.
Chris Schaefer wide to the right for Foothill. Welcome to Myron Hurd, the thundering Hurd across the 45 to about the 46-yard line, running left. I think Foothill mostly tonight will try to keep it on the ground, but when the opportunity presents itself, they'll pass the ball. And tonight, Myers and West are alternating at quarterback. In fact, alternating plays for Foothill, which they did, I believe, in that game against North to start the year. Myers has had a more impressive stats. West, keeper, midfield 50, 45, first down to the 40. Knocked out of bounds at the 35-yard line in Ridgeview territory. Jason West with a fine run.
Mark, one thing that's hurting Ridgeview, especially defensively, is a lack of speed to the outside because Myers and West, both quarterbacks, are running that quarterback option, and they're getting outside away from the pursuit and making big gains on both sides of the line of scrimmage when they go to the left or to the right. So I think Ridgeview's going to have to really bring those strong and free safeties up to really try to see if they can keep Foothill from going wide on them, because right now the team speed of Foothill is really dominating this first quarter.
Tim Carey, Dustin Baker, the 2 defensive ends for Ridgeview. Matt Barman, Ronnie Lyle, Jorge Valdez. Some of the defensive players, Quillen Andrews, Mark Estrada. Ball's driven to the 30-yard line. The linebackers for Ridgeview, Jorge Valdez, Quillen Andrews, Mark Estrada, and Bo Gutierrez. The corners are Jason Grant, Tyron Pickens, and a free safety, Ed Valdez. Ridgeview defense, which has struggled this year in only 6 seasons. At Foothill on the move once again, 8:03 to play in the first quarter, 8-0 Trojans. They have 2nd and 5 situation, ball in the left hash mark. Hurd, Arnavis in the backfield. West pitch back, Arnavis cuts inside of 35, puts his head forward to the 31, and now we have a late flag coming from the right side. Ridgeview doing a good job containing that play. face masking penalty, though, against the Wolfpack.
Well, Mark, you know, one thing I will say about Ridgeview, they have one outstanding player. We're going to talk about him a lot tonight. Is Rodney Lyle, the offensive tackle, and plays defensive down lineman on defense. And number 77 is just a monster in there, about 6'3", 315. So it's probably behooves Foothill to try to run away from him because he's a dominant player, and he's certainly going to take a double team to try to control him tonight. That's one player for Ridgeview to really look for.
And he has all the major colleges looking at him this year. 1st and 10 for the Trojans at a Ridgeview 16. Hurd, the first ball carried to the 20, and puts his head down to the 11-yard line. So Ridgeview having trouble wrapping up the ball carriers for Foothill. Yeah, the Trojans on the move once again. They score that long run by Aranavis. Then a block punt which goes through the end zone. Hurd this year, statistically, 445 yards rushing, a couple of touchdowns, 9 receptions for 105 yards. 2nd down, 2nd and 5. Inside handoff to number 30 inside the 10 to about the 9-yard line for Foothill. And I don't believe there was a fumble after the play. Mario Bravo, wingback, lining up on the right side and moving right to left on the cutback, the slot back. And they'll call 3rd and 4 for the Trojans inside the 9.
Mark, you know what really makes it so difficult for Ridgeview is you have a runner like Ridgeview who's so quick to the outside. Then you have Myron Hurd who pounds the middle, so it makes it real difficult for defense. You have one player who has a lot of speed, another player who gives you a lot of power. So it's a lot of change up there. It's tough on the defense.
10-yard line, number 21 into the end zone. Touchdown, Foothill Trojans. Michael Garcia getting the call that time. Came in for Aranavis on one play. Just simply followed his blockers into the end zone. I don't think he was even touched. Touchdown Foothill. 14-0 Trojans, 6:31 to play in the first quarter.
Well, Mark, that was a great block by number 66, Andy Smith, offensive line for Foothill, the guard there. And he just kind of opened up a big hole in the middle of the Ridgeview defense. And, of course, Garcia was able just to waltz in.
Foothill fluffs the one after touchdown, throw it away. It was a bad snap or a bad handle. Andy Wright, 14-0 Foothill, 6:31 to play. The touchdown by Michael Garcia that time from 9 yards away for the Trojans. As he just came in for that lone play in place of Aranavis, and he scores the 2nd touchdown of the night. But Foothill has not looked too good on their extra points this evening. That's been the only sore spot for them so far.
Well, Mark, it's been very difficult. I mean, we talked earlier about the Ridgeview defense, and hopefully that they could, you know, have some intensity and maybe sustain a little bit of some pressure on the Foothill offensive attack. But one thing that the Ridge is going to have to do is they're going to have to control the ball on the offensive and keep the ball away from Foothill, because it's obvious that they're not able to stop Foothill. And Foothill right now is looking great. You know, they had a little bit of a letdown the last couple of weeks. Haven't been playing quite as well as they were earlier. This is really a great way to start the conference, a confidence builder. Come out tonight really playing hard with a lot of intensity. So again, Foothill's trying to reestablish themselves. Ridgeview just trying to get some confidence.
But Foothill will be kicking it off midway through the first quarter, leading 14-0 over the Wolfpack. The Foothill contingent, the fans in front of us here at Foothill Stadium. Line drive kickoff. It is fallen by Ridgeview player at the 18-yard line, number 20, James Ray. 1st and 10 for the Wolfpack at their own 17-yard line. As they move right to left here in the first quarter, down by 14 already. The Trojans have scored a couple of touchdowns and have a safety tonight. 2 missed extra points. But they're looking good very early. And Ridgeview trying to establish something in this ball game. Robert Alvidra is wide to the left for Ridgeview. I formation for the Wolfpack. Split receivers to each side. Straight up the middle handoff. To Dalen Powell, and nothing there but Trojans. Simply smelling it out. Troy Scott, number 77 in there, making the initial stop for the Trojans. No down linemans, Arnaldo Cueto, Nathan Jacobson, Troy Scott, Michael Sanders, and Hurd are the defensive ends for Foothill. 5:55 to play in the first quarter. Ridgeview remains in the eye. Long count. Quarterback to throw the pass. Incomplete. Knocked away momentarily. And Ray tried to pick it out of the sky, but to no avail. And we have a third down situation for the Wolfpack, 3rd and 8.
Well, Mark, so far in this first quarter, you know, Foothill's just gotten a great push on the offensive and defensive lines. They're really dominating the line of scrimmage. And as you know, when the offensive line and defensive line dominates, good things are going to happen to that football team. Ridgeview right now has been trying to establish the run. It just has not been very successful. And there was their first pass attempt of the game. Obviously, it was no good. So they're going to have to open up the attack and maybe throw the ball a little bit more here in the first quarter to loosen up that Trojan defense.
Ron Venters, the quarterback, wobbles it out to the 15-yard line, incomplete. Or it was complete. Seemed like the receiver, I guess, saw the flag and wasn't running very hard. Foothill just came in and hit him pretty good, but the flag was down. But you know, anytime you catch a ball on the field, regardless of whether there's a flag or not, as a football player, you have to run hard because you can get hurt just pulling up like that, like the receiver for Ridgeview.
Well, Mark, I think Anthony Graham on that, I think it was a lateral. And I think even though he dropped it, it was still a live ball. And I think he had to pick it up. And that's the reason why he looked like he dropped it, picked it up, and was tackled on the play.
Inter-Rady's 4th down against Ridgeview. And they spent the entire game in their own territory here early. They'll be punting from their end zone once again.
Well, again, Mark, special teams have been a problem here, and they're going to have to give their punter a little bit more time. And he's going to have to try to punt the ball a little bit quicker this time. Don't worry about distance. Just get rid of the ball because you don't want to have another punt blocked in your own end zone. I
still think on 3rd and 7, you got to pass the ball upfield, not throw a lateral pass. The odds of that, gaining a first down, are very slim and none. Low line drive punt. West lets it drop, and it takes a Ridgeview roll of about 10 yards here. And Foothill will take over at the Ridgeview 47-yard line.
Again, if you look at that punt, Mark, it was much better for Ridgeview. What he did was he just took about 2 seconds to get rid of that ball and took like maybe a half a step to punt. And that's what you really want to do. You just want to get that ball out of your end zone and get the ball towards midfield. And that was a decent punt because it got a nice roll. But the key for Ridgeview is, can they stop Foothill?
It was a very flat-looking punt, but it was effective as far as the roll is concerned. Myers play action, looking deep. Is tied in incomplete. He was open for a moment. Josh Rapper, number 83. The pass overthrown by Myers. So Foothill had a chance for another 6. It's just like you said, Dennis. Ridgeview is going to put more people on the line of scrimmage to stop the run. That opens up the play action for Foothill, especially Myers, who's the better pass between he and West.
Well, you're right, and
Myers this year, 289 yards passing, rushing, I guess, briefly over 100 yards for Taylor Myers. 5 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Mark, we were talking earlier about Ridgeview putting a lot of men up at the line of scrimmage to try to stop the run of Foothill. But what that does, it opens up the passing game. And on the last series, you're seeing Foothill try to throw the ball. A lot of their wideouts are getting deep down the field and they're open. So right now, Foothill's in a great situation. They're loosening up that defense, and now they can run or pass. So they're dictating what they're going to do to the Ridgeview defense.
They are controlling the tempo. 3rd and 8 for Foothill, 4:32 to play in the first quarter. Albert with the ball to the 45, as Ridgeview was not fooled by the faking of Taylor Myers. Looked like he was going to run the option left. So a good defensive stance by the Wolfpack is hopefully they'll get the ball back in fairly decent field position. Now, it might be at their own 15, but maybe we can get a run back here of some sort. But you never know.
Mark, on that
so I'm coming for Foothill. They may try to fake this.
Yeah, well, Mark, on that last play, Rodney Lyle was in there and really stuffed that running play by Foothill. So again, Lyle doing his thing defensively for Ridgeview. They need more of him in this football game.
For 77. Punt by Myers. Line drives it to about the 11-yard line. So Ridgeview does not have good field position to start this next drive. As Grant receives the ball out of the air, 3:43 to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Foothill over the Ridgeview Wolfpack.
Well, Mark, the Wolfpack of Ridgeview, first year, Mark, in the Southeast Yosemite League, and it's been very, very difficult for them. A much stronger conference than the South Sequoia League last year, and I'll tell you, they've really been struggling this year, trying to get some confidence. But it's been very difficult with the schedule they've had, and they're going to get better though. But right now, they're going through some growing pains.
They like to play more like the Washington Huskies. Their uniforms are very similar. At least their home uniforms. Oh, number 25, the ball carrier for Ridgeview. Dalen Powell hit and dropped hard across the 17-yard line.
Mark, that was Paul Brown, 5'10", 195, a junior for Foothill, number 43, who really laid the leather on him.
I think he laid a forearm on him. What a pop by Mr. Brown. 2nd and 5 for Ridgeview, so they have something to work with here. Wide to the left for the Wolfpack, number 83, Robert Alvidrez. Powell, the tailback. Venters, the quarterback. Powell, the ball carrier. Across the 15 to the 17. As Foothill pursuing very well into the Ridgeview offensive backfield. Not allowing Powell to get to the outside.
Well, Mark, one thing Ridgeview needs to do is get more yards on first down. The first 2 offensive series they've had, they've only averaged 2 yards on first down. This offensive drive, this is the 3rd series of the football game, they're averaging 3.5 yards on first down. They've got to get between 4 and 5 yards on first down. That way it takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback to throw the football, and also it limits the rush of the defense of Foothill. So the key for Ridgeview in this game is to pick up at least 4 yards or so on first down. That puts a lot less pressure on your offense.
3rd and 3 for the Wolfpack. Venters to throw the pass. Way overthrown on the other side. Caught by a coach. He was looking for number 3, Anthony Graham. And that was way up the ladder. So it'll be 4th down for Ridgeview unless there is a penalty. The penalty against Foothill, defensive holding. So Foothill provides Ridgeview with somewhat of a gift.
Well, Mark, that was the left corner west on that play. The receiver tried to go down and up the field, and he held him with the arm, so they called holding, and that's an automatic first down for Ridgeview.
Jason West, the culprit. 1st and 10 for Ridgeview. At their own 27-yard line. 2:19 to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Foothill. Foothill corners about 4 yards off the Ridgeview receivers. Powell, ball carrier going left. To the 30, hit hard and dropped. Great pursuit by Foothill. Number 5 making the tackle. Jose Mendez. Nice angle by Mendez on the tackle. As Foothill pursuing that wide play very well.
Well, Mark, Ridgeview in his first quarter has been running out of the I formation with an extra blocker at the fullback. But so far, Foothill's defense is showing a lot of team speed and is really running and pursuing to the ball very effectively here in the first quarter, and is really holding Ridgeview down.
Justin Baker, number 40, to the fullback. Pitch back to Powell. Will he throw it? Looking deep. Man is wide open. Incomplete. Eddie Valdez wide open. The pass might have been thrown slightly behind him. As he tried to go after the ball, he kind of stumbled and the feet came out under him. So that would have been a big play for the Wolfpack, but it's probably been a season where they haven't made a lot of big plays, and that's when they needed.
Well, Mark, he did have to turn around a little bit when the ball was in the air, but that's the ball that Valdez has to catch. Ridgeview's got to complete those kind of passes, and they just have to execute. Settle down a little bit and execute here, but that was 6 points there, gone for naught.
Gone for naught. 1-3-2 to play in the first quarter. 3rd and 9 for the Wolfpack as they remain in the eye. Powell, the ball carrier. 30 to the 40-yard line. Has a first down. Plus about 3. Dalen Powell with some fine running. Good blocking up front by the Ridgeview Wolfpack. 1st and 10 for Ridgeview at their own 40-yard line.
Well, Mark, also besides Rodney Lyle, 77, number 73, Matt Barnum for Ridgeview's done a fine job blocking. So they're getting a good push on this offensive series from their offensive line.
Man 73 is 5'11", 230. It goes both ways for the Wolfpack. Plays some down linemen. Mario Salas, right tackle, number 74. Enters to throw. Quick drop. Lofts it far out on the other sideline. Incomplete. West on the coverage. The ball intended for Eddie Valdez. Another two-way player plays free safety for the Wolfpack. So Ridgeview trying to open it up just a bit. 56 seconds to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Foothill. And we have a 2nd and 10 situation for the Wolfpack.
Well, Mark, I don't see any reason why Ridgeview does not open it up. I mean, here's a team, they haven't won a game all year. There's really no reason not to. You're not going to be able to run the football at Foothill consistently tonight. So let's open this game up and start throwing the football.
Graham wide left for Ridgeview. Ball given to Powell to the outside 40-yard line. Cuts back, losing the ball. And I think the Trojans have it. At the Ridgeview 45-yard line. Foothill's doing a very good job of forcing Powell to the outside and using somewhat of a containment defense. He tried to cut back, and the ball was stripped from him, and it's Foothill's ball at the 45-yard line in Ridgeview territory.
Well, Mark, in that situation, the great linebacker for Foothill, number 32, Myron Hurd, really stripped Powell of the ball, and of course now Foothill has the fall 1st and 10.
And Hurd is the ball carried to the 40-yard line, pick up about 5 yards by the thundering Hurd. It'll be 2nd and 5 for the Trojans. So he does it defensively and offensively.
You know, he's had a great career here, Mark. He played last year, an outstanding player both ways again this year, and he's really become a solid football player. One of the outstanding players really in the city this year. Myron Hurd we're talking about.
Has a great number, 32. 20 seconds to play in the first quarter. Myers on the keeper, cuts back, has a first down to about the 35. Did a great job of fooling the defense. Number 30 for Foothill was in there, lining up at the slot. It was Mario Bravo. I thought he was going to receive the pitch. As the clock is winding down here in the first quarter, 14-0 Foothill over Ridgeview. And the Trojans quickly up to the ball. It's at the Wolfpack 35-yard line. West in their quarterback. Garcia thrown down, probably a face masking penalty against the Wolfpack. I'm assuming from the nature, the way he was thrown down, as the first quarter comes to a conclusion. So the officials will talk it over, and it'll be a penalty against the Wolfpack. I think that's their second face masking penalty of the game.
Well, it's been a struggle for him, Mark. Foothill's really been dominating the line of scrimmage, and Foothill's doing whatever they want really offensively, especially on the ground. And Ridgeview's really been struggling, you know, especially in the interior line. It's really been all Foothill. They're just getting a great push on the offensive line of scrimmage.
So this is the last play of the first quarter. Hurd the ball inside the 20 to the 18. I guess the quarter can't end on a penalty. And that should be the end of the first quarter. 14-0 Foothill over Ridgeview. You are watching the Prep Football Game of the Week on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Holiday Ford Lincoln Mercury is clearing out the 98s. Now we have $1,000 cash back, plus 0.9% financing on Escorts, Contours, Mystiques, Tracers, and Rangers. Now that's real savings. How about a red carpet lease on a new 98 Explorer? Come in and buy one, and the first payment up to $500 is on us. Don't make a wrong turn. Make the turn for Lerdo Highway in Shafter. We're easy to get to from both the 5 and 99 freeways. Say habla español.
Come to Holiday.
Third down for the Trojans at the Ridgeview 17-yard line after a run by Myron Hurd. As we begin the second quarter of play here from Foothill Stadium. Myers rolling to his left, looking to throw. Pass into the end zone, incomplete. Actually, Hurd was at the 8-yard line. He did have a receiver, number 3, headed for the end zone. That was Chris Schaefer. But he decided to throw it to the short man, Hurd. Hurd has had a few receptions this year. Myron Hurd, number 32. It'll be fourth down for the Trojans, 4th and 8. At the Ridgeview 16-yard line.
Mark,
Schaefer coming in with a play for Foothill.
Excuse me, I think this is a perfect game for Foothill to get their confidence back. You know, they were 2-3-1 coming in. Haven't been playing well lately, and I guess when you play Ridgeview, you get cured very quickly. And tonight, we're seeing the effects of that.
Split backs for Foothill. Myers straight drop back. Under heavy rush. Now running to his left to the 25, 20. Stays on his feet, out of bounds. At a 15-yard line, it'll be first down for Ridgeview. Looked like Foothill was setting up for a screen left. And great containment defensively by Ridgeview. Forced the quarterback out of the pocket. They tried to run to his left, and he was shy of the first down. And the Wolfpack will take over the second time tonight. They have stopped Foothill on downs.
Well, Mark, with the Foothill kicking game not being very effective tonight, that's probably one of the reasons why they went for it. Plus, they're leading 14-0, and even if they don't make it, Ridgeview's backed up deep in their own territory. So it's a good call by my buddy, Coach Ned Permenter.
Yes, they don't have a Trevor Lancaster, who's kicked the 47-yarder and a 50-yarder for Centennial this year. Inside handoff for the Wolfpack. Down 14-0 as they try to get something going here. They're at the Foothill 20-yard line. And that's the second straight series. They picked up 5 yards on first down to begin a series.
Yeah, and I talked about that earlier, Mark. It's very important because when you don't really have an effective passing game, it's important to get 4 or 5 yards on first down. That way it really helps the offense when you want to run the ball on second, third down. You don't have as far to go. So it's important for Ridgeview to get off on first down, make some yards, get some confidence.
High formation behind Venters. Squatting very low. Dalen Powell hit hard at the 20 to the 21. Initial hit made on number 53 for Foothill. John Sturgeon, linebacker.
Mr. Sturgeon to start tonight, Mark. He's the one who deflected that punt in the first quarter for a 2 points there. So he's had a fine football game for Foothill.
He popped him. Jose Mendez and number 11, Stephen Hernandez, the corners for Foothill. Number 21, Michael Garcia, the safety, lining up on the right side. Pitch back to Powell, running left. Foothill comes up and drops him. Nice pursuit by the Trojans on defense, as about 3 or 4 players just swarm to the ball carrier.
Well, Mark, Foothill defensively tonight is just using their team speed because they're playing a 3-4 defense. 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. And those outside linebackers are really pursuing well, and they're putting a lot of pressure on the Ridgeview offense. So that 3-4 has been very effective tonight.
Definitely has. Jason West back deep for Foothill at 9:15 to play in the first quarter. 14-0 Trojans. He's standing at his own 42-yard line. Bad snap. They get it off. West takes it on the run at the 45. Hit immediately and dropped at midfield. Excellent hit by Anthony Graham, number 3 for the Wolfpack, as he popped West and knocked him back. Forward progress gives the Trojans the ball at the Ridgeview 47-yard line. At his 1st and 10 for Foothill.
A little bit of a gamble by West that time. That was a short punt. He had to come up and did not call a fair catch. A little bit of a gamble, but sure-handed player. Of course, as a quarterback, he would be. Foothill, Mark, really looking good tonight. They look real crisp. They look sharp. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Maybe when you play Ridgeview, you get that. I don't know. But tonight, they look good.
When I was the ball carrier, cuts back, dragged down at the 44-yard line. It looked like he was headed for some more clear real estate, but he was thrown to the turf. A few yards gain to the Ridgeview 43-yard line.
Mark, neither team has a lot of depth, so I think as the game goes on, you'll see some substitutions, but so many of these guys have to go both ways. And it's really interesting to look at all the teams we've seen this year. Very few teams have a lot of players. That's very unusual.
Inside half goes to about the 38-yard line for the Trojans. A look at Foothill. Look at Foothill's sidelines. They only have about 15 players there. Southeast Yosemite League, Foothill this year 0-0 in the league coming in. Ridgeview 0-1. Foothill overall 2-3-1. Ridgeview 0-6. And I think about Ridgeview last week being defeated by Highland 27-0. They only had 32 total yards.
Well, of course, I think everybody knows right now Bakersfield, who defeated East last week, is 1-0 and is definitely the favorite in the Southeast Yosemite League.
And Ridgeview coming up on defense once again on the inside handoff. Byron Hurd, the ball carrier, to about the 37. It'll be 4th down for the Trojans. 7:42 to play in the first half. 14-0 Foothill. Homecoming at your alma mater.
Yeah, Mark, I did go here. It's been so long ago, but you know what's amazing about this school is Foothill is that a lot of the coaches are still here. Ned Permenter, Bobby Zell, they were here, and I saw Ted Oliver, the athletic director. I saw him earlier. He was the cross-country coach when I was here. We won't say how old I am, but I was here a long time ago. So it just goes to show you the continuity Foothill's had.
Myers-Platch and pass over middle to his tight end. First down. Inside the 25 to about the 23. Hit him this time. Ryberg wide open over the middle. On a play action, 1st and 10 for the Trojans. Line up on the right hash mark, 7:12 to play. Offensively this year for Ridgeview, 421 yards. Total offense, 1,033 running for Foothill this year. 1,640 plus total, and about 1,350 rushing coming into the game. Inside handoff to the 20, 16-yard line. That was Mr. Hurd, number 32, the Thundering Herd. As the clock continues to run here in the first half. Foothill on the move again, trying to add to that 14-0 count. Actually, a very quick-moving first half, not a lot of passing.
Well, Mark, they've been very effective today, substituting Myers and West, and it's been very effective here in the first half for Foothill. Both players give them speed. West gives them a little bit more, but both players run the offense very well.
Short pass complete to number 3 for Foothill, Chris Schaefer. And a very short gain to the 17. He might have lost a half yard. I think they give him about a yard gain or so, just outside the 15-yard line. It's 3rd and 4 for the Trojans. 6 minutes to play in the first half.
One thing Myers gives you, Mark, at quarterback for Foothill, he gives you a little bit better of a passing attack, and West gives you a little bit better of a running game. So depending on what the situation is, they'll platoon both quarterbacks.
They're both juniors. Pitch back to Abernavis. Race to the right side to the 15-10. Just out of bounds at the 1 or 2 yard line on the far side. Number 20 is showing fast feet on a sweep right. Garcia replaces him momentarily, number 21. Steps out of bounds at the 2 or 3 yard line. That is 1st and goal for the Trojans. 1st and goal for Foothill. Ball to right hash mark for the Trojans. Myers at quarterback. Gives it to Myron. Hurd hit and dropped at the line of scrimmage, number 32. Ridgeview up to the task, number 71. Greenwald, Jacob for Ridgeview making the stop.
Well, Mark, Foothill's been very effective getting outside tonight, haven't they? I mean, Renevies, and then they run Hurd up the middle, but the team speed of Foothill is just superior to Ridgeview, and that's been very effective, especially getting the Renevies out wide.
Ismail back in the game with Hurd. Line up on the left side, split backs. Ismail, the ball carrier. Fakes inside, goes to the outside, and thrown down for a loss. Nothing was there for the Trojans ball carrier. Great containment by the Ridgeview defense. And he loses some more yardage.
Well, Mark, number 48, Jorge Valdez, came up from the linebacker spot, really made a great tackle on the Reneviz, and Reneviz tried to go wide. In that situation, there was really no room to run wide. Probably should have tried to cut back, but he went wide, and Valdez was able to throw him down with a nice arm tackle. So again, Ridgeview getting stingy here. Defensively, when Foothill's trying to knock on the door again, Mark, the stingy Ridgeview defense here in the second quarter.
Having more stingy. 4:30 to play in the first half. 3rd and goal for the Trojans. Myers to throw. Looking for his receiver, incomplete. Might have been holding, though, on number 3, Chris Schaefer for Foothill. As he tried to make his move at the 1 yard line, looked like he's being held up by Ridgeview DB, but I'm not sure if the ball was in the air or not. It is defensive holding against Ridgeview, as he could not break free.
Right, the receiver Schaefer was really running a kind of a down and out, and the defensive held. Schaefer has a little bit of a height advantage, and good pass by the quarterback, and he was open, so all Ridgeview could do is really hold on the play to keep it from scoring.
And the score remains 14-0 Foothill, as they're at the 5 yard line. 3rd down situation, half the distance to the goal line. Abernavis the ball carried to the 10 and dragged down right there. So he tries to go wide right, gets stopped, goes wide left, and Ridgeview up to the task once again. Number 3 over there for the Wolfpack. That'd be Anthony Graham's done a good job tonight.
Also, Mark, number 6, David Gutierrez, was also in on the stop. So again, Renevi's trying to go wide. As you can see on that situation, Ridgeview had their cornerbacks up on towards the line of scrimmage that time and really stuffed that wide play. And they become very effective here on this defensive series against the Foothill offense. Much more effective stopping the wide plays that Foothill likes to run.
4th and goal. Myers to his right. Play action. Fakes a pass. Hit and drop from behind by number 71, Jacob Greenwald. We've called his name twice in the series. So a great defensive series by the Wolfpack.
Mark, we talked a lot about Rodney Lyle, number 77, but in this defensive series, number 71, Jason Greenwald has been really more effective, much more maneuverable, putting a lot of pressure on Myers or West. So he's really been the outstanding defensive player tonight so far for the Ridgeview Wolfpack.
I don't have his weight, but I listed him at 6'3". Made a couple big plays down here deep in the red zone for Foothill. Or shall I say against Foothill. Quarterback to throw. Gets away from the rush to the 15, 20-yard line, and to the 25. Nice run by Ron Venters. Now, Ron is only a sophomore quarterback, and a lot of players on the Ridgeview team are juniors. So they're learning quite a bit this year, in the first year in the Southeast Assembly League.
Well, Mark, Ridgeview has a lot of juniors, and also a team that we did last week, West High, has a lot of juniors. So West and Ridgeview looking more promising for next year. They're a little small compared to Foothill. Neither team is very big, West or Ridgeview, so Foothill definitely has a size advantage tonight, and that's really been important, especially as they dominate the line of scrimmage.
Domination is the key. 2:50 to play in the first half. 14-0 Foothill. Ridgeview second and a long 2 for Venters and company. Dalen Powell hit in the backfoot on drop. Didn't look like a well-executed play. Number 12 making a nice tackle. Aaron Gray, 6'3", 200-pound senior, playing a little defensive end for Foothill.
Well, Mark, that was a mix-up on the offense because in that situation, Rodney Lyle, the right guard of Ridgeview, blocked Aaron Gray right into the ball carrier. The ball carrier should have went inside the block. Instead, he went right into the block. So a situation where there was a mix-up there as far as the blocking schemes and where the runner was supposed to go.
3rd and 8 for Ridgeview. I formation. Venters. There's a draw to Powell. 30-yard line and more. First down for Ridgeview. So Dalen, with a little daylight, picks up another first down for the Wolfpack as they get it across the 30 to the 31, 1st and 10 in their own territory.
Well, Mark, one thing Ridgeview's been able to do the last 2 offensive series is they've been able to get a couple first downs, pick up some yards on first down, but also they've been able to control the clock a little bit here, keep the ball away from Foothill. Foothill's not getting the ball as much as they were in the first quarter, and this has kept the score fairly respectable. So that's what Ridgeview wants to do. Even if they don't score, control the clock, control time of possession.
Timeout on the field, 1:05 to play in the first half, 14-0 Foothill. We have seen Ridgeview come up with some nice defensive plays here. Their offense hasn't moved the ball much at all. The problem is they have started virtually every drive inside their 20-yard line, so it's been hard moving it out of their own territory. But defensively, they've come up with a couple of stops. They have actually limited Foothill twice. They stopped them on 4th down situations.
Mark, I've been very impressed with their defense here in the first half, especially in the second quarter, because they came into this game with really the poorest defense in the city. So they've come out in the second half. They made some adjustments. The linebackers playing a little bit wider. The cornerbacks are coming up and really stopping the wide plays, especially after Renovus had that 77-yard touchdown run. I think from that point on, they've really become a lot better defensively, and they seem to know a little bit more about what Foothill's doing in the second quarter, and like I said, they've been a little bit better. So that's what they're going to have to do, because they're going to have to try to get the ball back. Offensively, they're going to have to try to run the football, get good field position, and eliminate any turnovers.
1st and 10 for the Wolfpack. Benner throwing it deep to the other side, a pass incomplete. Nice defensive play by number 5, Jose Mendez of Foothill. The wide receiver was number 80 for Ridgeview, Jason Grant. As both players went up for the ball, good play. 1:48 to play here in the second quarter, 2nd and 10 for Ridgeview. Good call. Bill Richardson, the head coach for Ridgeview, who's assisted by Mike Cooper, Jay Durant, Steve Tucker, Dave Manriquez, Ted Armijo, and Ted Tamini. And Ned Permenter, the head man of Foothill, assisted by Bobby Zell, longtime assistant, Dalen Powell, the ball carrier, to about the 35. Also Dallas Plater, Pat Carlotti, Joe Cooper, and Manuel Malero. The Trojans and the Wolfpack.
Well, you know, Mark, Stan House, number 15, who's playing quarterback right now, he's shown a penchant for throwing the ball deep. He has a good arm, and I think as this game moves on, he does certainly can throw the ball, and I would look for him to put the ball up in the air tonight.
Like I mentioned, he's a sophomore on a junior-dominated team, the Ridgeview Wolfpack. 3rd down and about 6 for Ridgeview at their own 35-yard line. They're down only 14-0. Well, remember, Foothill struck very early on one of the first plays of the game on a long run by Ismael. And then, of course, they blocked the punt in the end zone. And then they had another touchdown. But Ridgeview, despite the fact Foothill has moved the ball, they've hung in there very tough.
Yes, I think after the initial first quarter mark, I thought they settled down and they played much better here in the second quarter. And like you say, at 14-0, they're still in this game. You know, what they need is possibly a quick score before halftime. But even if they don't, play error-free ball, and hopefully the defense can maybe get a turnover or two, get them in good field position for their offense to move the ball down the field. So right now, Ridgeview trailing, like you say, 1:41 left at halftime, 14-0, and they've got some chances, and they'll get more. So we'll see what happens.
Third down for the Wolfpack. Dalen Powell running left to the 40-yard line and more. That'll be 1st and 10 for the Wolfpack. Powell showing some good vision on the football field and excellent quickness. That is the third time he's run for a first down for the Wolfpack tonight, as they're at their own 42-yard line with 1:34 left in the first half.
Marky's got great quickness at 5'7", 150, junior Dalen Powell, and he's going to be a force to reckon with next year too. He's really a fine-looking running back with great acceleration and vision.
Eddie Valdez wide to the right, pitch back to Powell. Will he throw it? Looks like he's going to throw it. Wobbles it out there. It is complete, I think, then fumbled. Foothill picks it up to the 20-yard line. Running all over the place. Another flag is down. Now a flag was down on the Ridgeview offensive backfield. The pass was complete to Eddie Valdez. He ran with it, and he fumbled the ball. It might have been holding against Ridgeview.
Well, Mark, that's the second time they've tried that option where the running back tries to throw the ball down the field. Earlier in the game, Valdez was open, the flanker, and missed it. Again, that situation, good defense. Foothill really wasn't fooling it. They had 3 defensive backs on the play. So it's a situation where Ridgew's tried what we call 2 trick plays, kind of a Bob Toledo UCLA type of thing. But so far it has come up empty for him.
Well, it wasn't a good-looking pass, but it necessarily got there. But I was right. Holding against Ridgeview on the pass and clipping against Foothill on the run back.
Well, Mark, it was a situation where Powell had a chance to throw the football, and I thought he waited too long. And then when he waited too long, then when he decided to throw, the defense was able to converge on the receiver. So once you make up your mind, or once the receiver's open, you've got to throw it now. If you hesitate, it's going to ruin the surprise of the play. You know, it just messes up the timing. So the key is a surprise element of it. So as soon as the player's open, it's got to be a quick pass right then.
One of the things on both plays, I could tell it was going to be a pass from the very start, both plays. 1st and 10 for the Trojans. So you do have the completion, then the fumble, then the clip against Foothill. They mark off the distance for the clip. 1:06 to play in the first half. 1st and 10 for Foothill at their own 10-yard line. I just don't think they disguise the pass that well. Screen to Hurd, 12-yard line, cuts back 15, and dives forward to the 21-yard line. Looks like Myron has a first down for the Trojans. Under 1 minute to play here in the first half. Myron Hurd.
Myron Hurd is a Trojan warhorse, and like you say, 2-year starter at linebacker and fullback, and does a great job of blocking for the tailback number 20, Reneviz, too.
I saw a gentleman in the parking lot, probably Myron's father, who had his jersey on, said Hurd number 32. Radberger, the intended receiver, and then a late flag by the official. Myron Hurd this year with 9 receptions for 104 yards coming into the game. He tied in with the intended receiver, Radberger, for Foothill. And I saw a flag coming from one of the officials. I don't know if it's holding against DB for Ridgeview or what. It is defensive holding. We've seen a lot of defensive holding calls in this game. I think that's about 3 tonight. Well, somebody in the backfield.
Well, I think it's a situation where Ridgeview doesn't have the team speed of Foothill. When Foothill goes deep on the passes, Ridgeview has to hold.
Now is the ball carried to the 30 and down, trying to run wide. And the last 3 times he's tried to run wide, Ridgeview up to the task, twice to the right, once to the left. So they're stringing out the plays very well and forcing him to cut back across the grain. Timeout Foothill.
remember, Mark, too, when you're a defensive back and you're beat on the play, a hold's not so bad because what they do is they take the ball back at the line of scrimmage and they mark off 15 yards. So really, it's really not a bad play for a defense, especially if you're a defensive back and you know the receiver's going to get by you. Just hold, grab, because all it's going to be is 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, so it's not going to cost you a touchdown. So in this situation, I can understand why Ridgeview is doing it.
But then if that was a tight end going for the pass, you got to be able to cover a tight end. That's where the flag was thrown in that vicinity. 35 seconds to play in the first half, 14-0 Foothill.
I think one thing I've heard on that play, Mark, is that the Ridgeview defense was expecting Foothill just to run the clock out. I think the element of surprise, they tried to pass there, and the defense was not in the type of defense they needed to be in. And, of course, there went the hold on the defensive strong safety.
Never expect the offense to do nothing. I think you should always expect the offense to do whatever they can to score.
Well, especially at 14-0 here with 35 seconds left, it's anybody's game. And knowing Bobby Zell like I do, the offensive coordinator for Foothill, he loves to throw the football.
And Myers is set up to throw from the 20-yard line. Fires it out deep. Intercepted by Ridgeview. Number 8, Valdez. Should he go out of bounds? Midfield 50, 45 and out. The pass was intended for number 3, Shea, for double coverage by Ridgeview. And a pass slightly overthrown by Myers. And the Wolfpack comes up with a pick. And they're in Foothill territory at the 45 with 20 seconds left.
Again, Myers just threw the ball deep downfield, and it was a situation where it's almost like a punt. But again, the Ridgeview defense double covering made a nice interception, and really another turnover for Foothill. So Ridgeview's in a good situation here, Mark, 45-yard line of Foothill, but with only 20 seconds left at halftime.
Split backs for the Wolfpack. Venters to throw from his own 48. Sets up, fires it over the middle, incomplete. Too high, intended for number 36 for the Wolfpack. Ben Torchia. 15 seconds on the clock. 2nd and 10 for the Wolfpack. At a Foothill 45, 14-0 Trojans. So both teams passing the ball quite extensively here in the last couple of minutes. Stan House. Number 15 has come into the game at QB for Ridgeview. Now Stan is a senior, 5'10", 155. As they probably look to throw from the Trojan 45. Sets up, fires it deep to the left side. And a pass incomplete. Looked like it could have been offensive interference against number 80, Jason Grant. Is back there playing center field was number 5, Jose Mendez of Foothill. Just waiting for the ball.
Yeah, Mark, I think in that situation, the official ruled that the receiver was just going for the ball. And, of course, Foothill in a prevent defense had 4 men dropping back into the secondary and no chance to complete that pass. But House has shown a good arm here, number 15, the quarterback of Ridgeview. He appears to have a little better arm than Venter, who played earlier. So
coming in firing the ball.
Right.
Third and 10 for the Wolfpack. There's a draw to Powell. Breaks a couple of tackles to the 40 and hit and dropped. A couple of Trojans converging on the tackle. And we have a flag down at the 42. One of them, Michael Garcia for Foothill.
Well, Mark, there was no time left, but of course the penalty and the play can't be stopped on a penalty. So it looks like a situation here, unless it was against. Yeah, it was a personal foul against Ridgeview, so Foothill declined it, and that's the end of half.
After 2 quarters from Foothill High School, it is the Trojans 14 and Ridgeview nothing. And you're watching the Prep Football Game of the Week exclusively on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Holiday Ford Lincoln Mercury is clearing out the 98s. Now we have $1,000 cash back, plus 0.9% financing on Escorts, Contours, Mystiques, Tracers, and Rangers. Now that's real savings. How about a red carpet lease on a new 98 Explorer? Come in and buy one, and the first payment up to $500 is on us. Don't make a wrong turn. Make the turn for Lerdo Highway in Shafter. We're easy to get to from both the 5 and 99 freeways. Say habla español.
Come to Holiday.
Over the last 60 years, Chan Younger has helped thousands of accident victims. Oil field work is some of the most dangerous work around. Many people are seriously injured or killed as a result of faulty equipment and poor safety training. We didn't want this to continue, so we fought until changes in oil field safety were made. Accidents still happen, and when they do, we'll be there for you.
Has this ever happened to one of your favorite tapes? How about this? Parts of this tape are damaged forever. Before this happens to your favorite video or home movie, call Time Warner Productions. Time Warner Productions specializes in quality duplications, foreign conversions, and repairs. So before your favorite video cassette becomes your pet's next meal, preserve it by calling Time Warner Productions and get it duplicated. Call 322-1941.
$14-0 at the half in favor of the Foothill Trojans over the Ridgeview Wolfpack. Homecoming at Foothill. Dennis, what about the scoring?
Well, Mark, as you noted earlier, 14-0 at halftime. First quarter, Foothill really came out very aggressively, really got their running game going. And of course, as you noted, 11:18 left in the first period, 62-yard run by Arenavis. He broke a tackle off the right side, cut back against the grain. He's just a great cutback runner, Mark. Great blocking by the Foothill offensive line, and that made it 6-0. Of course, the PAT was no good. And then Ridgeview lined up, fourth down in punt formation in the end zone. And then, of course, Sturgeon for Foothill broke through, blocked the punt. Worth 2 points there for Foothill. And, of course, that made the score 8-0.
Right.
And then, of course, with 9:50 left in the first period, excuse me, 6:31 left in the first period, 9-yard run by Garcia. He just made a great run off tackle, broke a few tackles, and got into the end zone. Of course, then they tried the extra point with a pass. It was no good. And that puts our score at 14-0. Just really domination by Foothill, especially in the first quarter. But in the second quarter, I thought Ridgeview did a much better job defensively, and they made some adjustments to keep Foothill from getting those wide plays that they were getting in the first quarter. They did a better job on West, a better job on Arenavis. Myron hurt him, but they didn't score any points. So I thought Ridgeview did a much better job in the second quarter there.
And as you know, one time Ridgeview stopped Foothill inside the red zone and stopped them another time at the Ridgeview 40-yard line. The problem with the first quarter and a half for Ridgeview, they started every drive inside their 15-yard line and couldn't get out of that. 14-0 Foothill. Let's hear the band.
always winded. You have ticket number 821-5054. 821-5054. Take your ticket to the hamburger stand. Actually, to where the market is. Now, once again, congratulations to 1998 Homecoming Senior Queen and their court.
Always get the names and addresses of witnesses. Don't rely on busy police to do this for you. If injured, be sure to have a medical examination. Talk to an experienced lawyer before you talk to the insurance adjusters. If you'd like to know more, call or come by Chain Younger today and pick up your copy of the accident guide.
Chain Younger. When you need us, we'll be there. We have been for over 60 years.
Harold, this tape from Greece doesn't play.
Around the world, there are many different formats for VHS tapes. So if you have problems with a tape from a foreign country, call Time Warner Productions. For $29.95, Time Warner Productions can convert the tape to a format that plays in your home VCR or change your tape to any format from around the world. From quality copies of home videos, large quantity duplications,
Harold, the tape's broken.
or tape repair, Time Warner Productions is your best choice for video services.
Now we begin the second half of action with Foothill leading Ridgeview 14-0. Mark and Dennis Heffernan on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable Channel 52. Ridgeview with the ball first and 10 at their own 33-yard line, which is very good field position for them tonight as they move left to right across your TV dial. Ridgeview in gold pants, white jerseys. Foothill in gold pants and black jerseys with white letters. Number 15, the quarterback, Stan House for Ridgeview, took over late in the second quarter. Dalen Powell, the ball carrier. Nice run across the 40 to the 41. Kind of a cutback move as he picks up 6 yards on that first down play.
You know, Mark, you talk about Ridgeview, and you talk about Rocky Lyle, a fine offensive guard, also plays defensive down lineman, and what a player he's going to be down the road. 6'3", about 315, excellent track, discus thrower, plays football, won the weightlifting contest last year.
Outstanding wrestler.
Right, I mean, he does it all. He's really probably one of the outstanding athletes in the whole central section.
11:20 to play in the third quarter. House to Powell up the middle, hit and dropped at the line of scrimmage, so Foothill up to the task in that play. It'll be third down for Ridgeview, third and a long 3.
Well, Mark, I think in the second half, if you're Ridgeview, you're in the game 14-0. Of course, you don't want to have any silly turnovers here, but I think you really need to put the ball in the air. And I think Stan House, number 15, the senior, has a good arm. And I think as this second half progresses, it's really important they put that ball up in the air and see if they can get a score, really to get back in the game realistically.
Grant, Alvidra is wide to the right for the Wolfpack. Fouls with a long count. Right into the foul. Flag is down across the 45 to the 48-yard line. No flag. Going to be 1st and 10 for Ridgeview. Dalen Powell showing a lot of speed and quickness with another first down for the Wolfpack at their own 49-yard line. As House looks to the sidelines for his next call. 14-0 Foothill.
Well, you know, Mark, Dalen Powell, fine junior tailback, doesn't need a lot of room. He just needs a little crease there. And at 5'7", 150, he's able to sneak right through there. So the offensive line's doing a pretty good job, and they don't have to sustain their blocks very long for him to be able to get through the line of scrimmage.
Valdez slot right for Ridgeview. House to Powell, midfield 50. Stummel stays on his feet, 45-40, and continues to go to the 35. That's about a 15 or 16-yard pickup by Dalen Powell. Has a nice blocking to the left. Also shows some great balance as he almost was able to break to the open against the Foothill defense as Ridgeview comes out very strong here at the outset of the third quarter. 9:55 to play this quarter.
Well, you know, Mark, what Ridgeview needs to be able to do is when they get down here in Foothill territory, especially when they get inside the red zone, they're going to have to try to find a way to get the ball in the end zone. Not just move the ball, but now they've got to try to move the ball. They get
close to the first down at the 32. Yeah, he's really following his blocks very well. And the Wolfpack look very motivated here at the start of the third quarter. Get us a first down. I'll call it about 2nd and 2 for Ridgeview at the 27-yard line of Foothill territory. At 9 minutes to play in the third. A couple of receivers to this side. Ball in the left hash mark for House and company. I from H for Ridgeview. Pitch back to Powell. Cuts back 25, stays on his feet, puts his head down. Forward progress will give him maybe to the 21-22. Hurd and company coming over there for Foothill. Ridgeview has a running game in gear in the third quarter.
Mark, just a fine bit of running by Dana Powell. We can't say enough about him. We talked about Bryson Sumlin of West earlier and Arenavis of Foothill, a sophomore, but as a junior, he's looking very effective, very quick, has great explosion, but I think more than anything else, he's a tough runner. He runs for those extra yards, you know, and he's just a very physical football player, even though he only weighs 150.
Powell again. Good opening to the 15, stays on his feet inside the 10. Running hard. And with a lot of enthusiasm. I forgot to mention the center for Ridgeview tonight is Polo Rocha. Polo Rocha, number 75. Senior, 6 feet, only 200 pounds.
Well, Mark, you have Barnum, Rocha, you've got Lyle, you've got Salas. You've got a great job by the Ridgeview offensive line right here, really opening up holes in that Foothill defense.
And timeout for the Trojans. Greenwald, left tackle, number 71. Left guard, number 73, Matt Barnum. Right tackle, Mario Salas, number 74. The center is number 75, Polo Rocha. The right guard, number 77, Rodney Lyle. Flanker, number 80, Jason Grant. And now we have House in their quarterback. And he came in late in the second quarter for Ridgeview. Ron Venters, the sophomore, started the game. 8:22 left in the third quarter. Ridgeview, so far this year, coming into the game, 1,421 yards of offense, over 1,000 of them on the ground. Venters had 355 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns. No stats on Mr. House. Dalen Powell, 733 on the ground with 7 touchdowns. Charlie Henry, who we haven't seen tonight, had 185 yards receiving on his score. And Robert Alvidrez had 7 receptions for very limited yardage for Ridgeview.
Well, Mark, the Ridgeview offensive line, like we said, has been very effective here, and it was on the screen. They just done a super job here starting the third quarter.
Powell inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. Dalen Powell, number 25 for the Wolfpack. 9 minutes plus to play in the third quarter. 14-0 game as Ridgeview is knocking on the door of the Foothill Trojans. Homecoming for Troy tonight. They at 2-3-1 overall. Ridgeview 0-6. Foothill 0-0 in the Southeast Yosemite League. And Ridgeview 0-1 in the SEYL. First year in the league. House to Powell. Not much running room. Tries a break. Now comes the other way. To the 15. Has some blocking. To the 10. 5. He will score. Touchdown, Dalen Powell.
Well, Mark, that was just a great play by Dalen Powell. He went off the left side and tried to go wide. Nowhere to go there. Switched positions on the field. Just kind of turned himself around and ran all the way across the field and ran in from the right side. It was just a great run, great speed, great vision, and really great balance.
Yes, it goes to his left. Foothill cuts him off. He's able to reverse his direction. And then he saw some nice running room in front of him. And I know when he turned that side, got a couple of good blocks inside against the Ridgeview defense. Had him turned around, used his speed to propel himself to the end zone. The PAT is good. It's 14-7 in favor of Foothill. So the Wolfpack has come out with a lot of fire in their eyes here in the third quarter. A great drive for Ridgeview. We talked about their great defensive effort in the second quarter. Foothill started off extremely strong tonight with a lot of emotion. Ridgeview is back in the game emotionally and on the scoreboard. Excellent running by Powell, good blocking by the offensive line. And Ridgeview finds themselves in the ball game.
Well, Mark, that was great blocking by the offensive line. As we noted earlier, we talked about the great push they were getting on the line of scrimmage. And, of course, just an individual performance really by Dalen Powell. He really made that happen with the great athleticism that he has. But I really think the key to this football game, Mark, was late in the second quarter when Foothill was stopped. They had 4 chances inside the red zone, and I thought Ridgeview's defense really came up big there. Kept the score 14-0. Ridgeview had time to go at halftime, regroup, and the Wolfpack, Mark, the Wolfpack came out in this third quarter and started kicking some rear end here. And they're back in this game 14-7.
Well, as we know, Foothill's had trouble in the second half of a lot of games this year. They have a very limited squad. Many of their players go both ways, and they seem to tire out in the second half. They did so in the first game of the year when they defeated North 21-19, and they have in a number of their other games. And we will see if that will be a factor here. Not that Ridgeview has a real deep squad either. We'll see what happens. 14-7. Line drive kick comes to West at the 15, 20, 25, 30-yard line. Runs to his own man, stays on his feet. Now coming the other way to the 40. Good blocking. Midfield 50. Will he go down? And he does. Great run back by Jason West. Ridgeview says there's a fumble as he gets to the Ridgeview 42-yard line. But the officials haven't said anything. The Wolfpack want the ball.
Well, Mark, the players got excited there, but it was a great kick return by West. Number one, he made a great run, went up the middle, read his blockers very well, then cut to the outside down the left sideline and picked up a nice gain. And Foothill's in business, Mark, at the 42-yard line of Ridgeview to start their first offensive series here in the third quarter.
Well, the tackling was not very good by the Ridgeview kickoff team. A lot of arm tackling. Foothill at the Ridgeview 43-yard line. Alvin Iverson in the backfield, hit and dropped at the line of scrimmage. Rodney Lyle over there, big number 77. 7 minutes to play in the third quarter, 14-7 Foothill, as the action has heated up on the field. And Foothill is faced with a 2nd and 10 situation. Mendez wide to the left for the Trojans. Should I say slot left, not wide. Alvin Iverson, second man through. Hit and dropped as he tries to go wide. And Ridgeview has been spelling that play out since about midway through the second quarter. I think Ismael wanted to cut back inside, try to go outside. The defense is kind of sliding that direction and containing him.
Well, Mark, it's a situation where, Ridgeview comes out here in the third quarter, gets an offensive score to get back into the game, and then, of course, the special teams, in a sense, let him down a little bit. Foothill gets a great running back, a great run deep into Ridgeview territory to start their first offensive drive here in the third quarter.
Ismael head and dropped in the backfield. Now a penalty flag. Number 71, Greenwald with a drop. The hit on Ismael. Here's a guy who had a 62-yard run for a touchdown on about the second or third play of the game. Since then, he's lost a lot of yardage. I mean, they've been knocking him, forcing him into the backfield and dropping him for a loss of yardage. Penalty against Foothill might have been one of the Foothill players might have said something.
Mark, it looked to be a dead ball foul, personal foul on Foothill there. So that really helps Ridgeview because it puts the ball back into Foothill territory here, and it makes a big difference here.
Wolfpack have definitely been fired up defensively since about midway through the second quarter. Their small angles running plays are getting great pursuit, and they're penetrating in the Foothill offensive backfield. Foothill was dominating early in the ball game, but there has been a change of heart in this ball game. Bad snap, no rush on Myers, gets it off, and just barely. And it goes out of bounds. He got a decent kick out of it. If Ridgeview would have put some kind of rush on Myers, he never would have got the punt off.
Well, Mark, they had the return set up at Ridgeview, and really nobody put pressure on Myers there, the punter for Foothill. But again, Foothill's having a little bit of a problem they've had in past games where they don't come out with the same emotion or intensity in the second half. But I don't think depth really has that much to do with it, Mark, because if you look at their team, normally if you don't have a lot of players, that might wear on you in the fourth quarter. But start of the third quarter, you have a rest at halftime. I don't think that's it. I think some teams are first half teams, some teams are second half teams. It's a mental thing. And right now, Foothill's fighting them mentally in the second half.
And we have a flag thrown in the Foothill defensive backfield. 5-5-8 to play in the third, 14-7 Trojans.
You know, we talked last week when we did the West High South High game. You look at South High, they're definitely a second half team.
And you did it.
Yes, and when I did the game last week, minus you, of course, we're glad to have you back. Wanted to let you know that. But it's a situation where South is a second half team, and Foothill appears to be a first half team. So, you know, if I'm going to choose between the two, if I'm not going to do both, I'd rather be a second half team because that's really where games are won or lost.
As long as you're close to the score going into the second half to make a difference there. You don't want to be a second half team if you're down by 3 touchdowns going into the third quarter. Ridgeview with the ball. Dalen Powell breaks to the outside, tries to cut in, and thrown down. Nice play by number 83 for Foothill. Josh Ratberger, who plays tight end for the Trojans. Nice containment, forced the running back to cut inside.
Well, Mark, Ratberger's a fine player who goes both ways. Excellent tight end, a good blocker on the Foothill wing T series, and also he plays great defense, good pursuit, good speed, quickness.
Okay for Ridgeview. Second down situation for the Wolfpack. House remaining their quarterback, the Dalen Powell. Hurd and company wrap him up at the 34-yard line. As he runs left, tries to cut back across the middle. And Hurd was joined by about 2 or 3 other Foothill Trojans for the stop. 5 minutes plus to play in the third quarter. And a good ball game, Foothill 14, Ridgeview 7. Wolfpack have come out very emotional here in the third quarter. Third and 4 situation for the Wolfpack. Receiver split to each side for House and company. I formation behind him. Quarterback keeps it, rolling to his right, looking downfield. The pass incomplete. Intended for number 36 for Ridgeview. Ben Torchia going to the Foothill sideline.
Well, Mark, in that situation, House sprinting out to his right, but that play was, the timing was really messed up by the Foothill pressure. House got good pressure, really wanted to throw that ball before he wanted to, and I thought the Foothill defense did a fine job covering downfield, but the pressure on the quarterback really was the key on that play.
Threw off the rhythm of the play. Ridgeview to punt, bad snap, get it off, partially blocked by Hurd, I believe. Takes somewhat of a Ridgeview roll, but Foothill will have it at their own 48-yard line. Both these teams have a lot of trouble with their center snaps to their punters, which is kind of unusual for the 7th game of the year. Very poor snaps in this ball game.
Well, Mark, it's a situation for Ridgeview, and even though they played much better here in the second half, and their game really turned around, I thought, midway in the second quarter, the special teams have really hurt them. The block punt gave Foothill 2 points, and here in the second half, the kick return team, Foothill made a great run back, and now on their punt here, Foothill has great field position, so their special teams are really letting them down here in this football game.
As you know, both teams, the last times they had punted, there were bad snaps in the center. And if Ridgeview had any pressure on Myers, they would have had a block. That was a bad snap there. And Foothill's had couple of poor snaps on extra points. So those are those fundamental plays. The snap from center to the holder or to the punter. You should be making those kind of mistakes not that often this late in the season. Those should be fundamental things that you should do right every time.
Well, especially when you're Ridgeview and you're 0-6, one way to improve your team is to have good special teams, because you can sometimes win a game just on special teams, but the way their special teams are playing tonight, there's no way. So it's a situation where even if you're a little weak in some areas, if your special teams are strong, a lot of times you'll be more effective.
Oh, definitely. Whether it's punt or kickoff return or punt and kickoff teams, you put your offense in better position on the field. And when you're 0-6, you got to do those little things. Myers on the keeper across the 45 to the 44. It'll be 3rd and 3 for Foothill. Lyle back in the game for Ridgeview, number 77 at nose guard, down line. 3:18 to play in the third quarter. Heard the ball carrier. Hit and stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Mark, Rodney Lyle was in on that play, the big tackle for Ridgeview. You know, we talked earlier, Mark, and if this game goes the way it's going right now, special teams really have lost this game for Ridgeview. And one thing the special teams have done for Ridgeview tonight, it's put them in poor field position. Their defense has been starting in their own territory a lot tonight. And so that's one of the reasons why right now Ridgeview's trailing in this football game. You've got to have better field position, especially if you're 0-6, playing a team that's better than you.
Well, it's very difficult starting drives at your own 10 or 12 yard line. It'd be much better to start at the 25 or 30. Just the extra 15, 20 yards makes a lot of difference. Myers to punt, high snap, booms this one. And it will go through the end zone. Ridgeview will take it out their own 20-yard line. 2:27 on the clock in the third. Ridgeview 7, Foothill 14.
Mark, again, not a real smart play there by Foothill on the punt. That ball should have been punted towards the sideline, maybe get the ball inside the 20. Instead, he just kicked the ball in the end zone. So a situation where neither team's specialty teams have really been doing the job tonight. There's been a little bit, like you say, a little shaky for this time of the year. But again, Foothill is leading, and Ridgeview will have the ball at their own 20. So they're going to have to go 80 yards to get back in this football game.
80 yards for Ridgeview. Stenhouse remains at quarterback. 3 receivers to the right. I formation for the Wolfpack. Dalen Powell, the ball carrier. Tries to spin off to the left side across the 20 to the 22. The Foothill defense up to the task. They try to close him in. I think that Ridgeview will have to throw somewhat here to establish a series. You have to keep the defense honest.
Mark, Nathan Jacobson, number 72 for Foothill, has done a fine job at nose guard on the defensive side. We haven't mentioned his name a lot, but he's been a real stud in there for Foothill tonight defensively. Really caused a lot of havoc on the defensive side.
He lines up next to Troy Scott, number 77. Powell up the middle, breaks a tackle. Now thrown down at the 31-yard line. Looks like he has a first down for Ridgeview. It is 1st and 10 for the Wolfpack.
Well, you know, Mark, one thing Ridgeview's been able to do tonight, the offensive line, like you say, is really getting a much better push in the second half. And I think the coaching staff made a few adjustments. They found some weakness in that 3-4 defense of Foothill. And, of course, we talk about Nathan Powell. He's so quick at 5'7", 150. He doesn't need a lot of opening. He just needs a small crease. And he's so quick and runs with so much power. He's been very effective here in the second half.
1st and 10 for the Wolfpack. Snap is fumbled, loose ball, and Foothill has it. So a big turnover by the Wolfpack. And the Trojans in excellent field position at the Ridgeview 32-yard line.
Well, Mark, we talked about field position, and all night Foothill's had it. The special teams of Ridgeview have let them down, and now the big turnover inside their own 40-yard line. So again, you cannot make those kind of mistakes, but you know, when you're 0-6, those things happen. But if you're ever going to break the cycle of losing, you've got to limit your turnovers and play smart football.
Inside handoff to Myron Hurd to about the 31-yard line. Maybe a gain of a half yard or a yard for Foothill. Hasn't been what you would consider a pretty football game. Those are a lot of fundamental things. Poor snaps from center, fumbled snap from the quarterback, especially when your team is moving the ball somewhat. Myers with the ball to Abernavis, 30-yard line. He's going to go the distance. Touchdown, Foothill. For the first time since his long run early in the ball game, Ismail had an opening. And when he has an opening, he knows how to take it deep, 30 yards. Ridgeview had nobody back there. Once he broke that line of scrimmage, he had a block. There was smooth sailing for the end zone. He's done a great job on him stopping his wide plays since early in the second quarter. So Ridgeview turns the ball over, and Foothill comes back and scores on a 30-yarder.
Well, Mark, just great blocking by the Foothill offensive line. Of course, Ridgeview doesn't mean much of an opening. He saw a little opening there. He just smells that end zone, cut to the outside, and then with his foot speed was just gone.
We've seen some small, quick backs this year. Seth Cunningham, talk about a guy who has great speed and knows how to smell an opening and explodes into the open. Number one for Arvin.
Well, Mark, there's nothing more demoralizing to a defense when you're doing a good job and then a player like Ridgeview gets a little bit of an opening and can scamper 30 yards untouched. I mean, it really breaks the back of a defense, especially coming after a turnover by the Ridgeview offense. So that really puts the Ridgeview in a bind now, trailing 20-7 with 36 seconds left in the third quarter.
And Myers' kick is up and it's good. 21-7 Foothill. 36 seconds left in the third quarter. No good, wide to left. Well, it's 20-7, I guess.
Well, we're just hoping they'll make a PAT here, one team.
Everything looked good. Nice snap, nice kick, but he pushed it left, I believe.
Well, we've talked so much tonight, Mark, about special teams and the kickoffs and extra points, and both these teams are really hurting in that area. And I'll tell you, when you look at Foothill, right now, if they win, they're 1-0. They're still in the hunt for postseason play and also for the league championship because they have to play Bakersfield down the line. We both know, Mark, we've seen Bakersfield play. They're going to have to get much better special teams. You're going to have to make your extra points if you expect to stay in the game with Bakersfield High, because Bakersfield now, with some of the good running backs they've got now, Alan Mackey, the junior, starting to run more running back. Their running game's starting to go a little bit. Their offense has gotten a lot better. Yeah, and so if you're Foothill, you're going to have to do a much better job on special teams, especially you got to make your PATs if you expect to beat Bakersfield High.
But the thing is, if you don't win the Southeast Yosemite League and you make the playoffs as either a second or third place team, you probably have the privilege of playing Clovis West in the first round.
The privilege? That really would be a privilege, wouldn't it?
That's what some team here in Bakersfield have the honor of doing. One of the teams that makes the playoffs and doesn't win the league, whether it's the Southeast Yosemite League or Southwest Yosemite League. And they won't believe the type of team they'll face on the football field either.
No, when you play a team like Clovis West, and of course Foothill's played them before, they know. Last year they played them in that little pigskin classic.
I was at the game.
Right.
I left after 3 quarters. That was brutal. Not if you're a Clovis West fan.
Well, Clovis West has that tremendous speed and quickness, and the quarterback really knows how to deceive that Delaware wing T.
This year's team is better than last year's team, though. This year's team is a lot more dominant for Clovis West than they were last year.
Well, they're rated #1 in the Valley, but you know what? I'm interested to see what Edison does. Edison High of Fresno is rated #2, and they're unbeaten too. So those two teams could meet down the road, but they would only meet in the playoffs. They won't meet in league. But one of the best teams Edison's ever had, Mark, in 20 years. They're really playing great football this year.
Have a great offense. They're in the North Yosemite League, and Clovis West in the Tri-River Valley League, with the other 2 Clovis schools and the rural schools around Fresno. Sanger having a great start. Central High having a great start. Comes to Ridgeview. Grant, 35, and thrown down to the 39-yard line. Look like number 71 with the tackle. Nathan Jacobson for Foothill lines up with a down lineman defensively. 28 seconds to play in the third. 20-7 in favor of the Trojans. And an uphill struggle for Ridgeview now.
Well, Mark, it makes it difficult because you're in a situation where now you're trailing really by 2 touchdowns, and that running game takes so much time off the clock. So they might have to look to pass the ball a little bit more here in the second half.
Ridgeview came out with a lot of emotion, scored that touchdown. Things looking pretty good for them. Then they coughed up the ball offensively. Then their defense broke down on a long run by Ismail Awanavis. And everything's been kind of turned around. They were down by 7, had the ball looking pretty good, and then the emotions go the other direction. Down by 13 as the clock is winding down here in the third quarter from Foothill High School. Homecoming for the Trojans, and they want to bring home a victory, a W tonight. Get back to the 500 mark and improve to 1-0 in the Southeast Yosemite League. House to Powell. nice spin move to the midfield. And it should be a first down for the Wolfpack as the third quarter comes to a conclusion. 20-7 in favor of Foothill. And you're watching the Prep Football Game of the Week on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
The ravages of time. Just like paint, tape can oxidize. And oxygen is slowly eating away your most cherished family videos. A baby's first steps, first words, first birthday. These memories, once lost, can never be recovered. You can't stop time, but you can fight oxidation by duplicating your videos at Time Warner Productions. Our state-of-the-art repair and duplication services can help preserve your memories for future generations. Time Warner Productions, located at 3600 North Select Avenue in the Time Warner Cable Building.
Second and 11 for Ridgeview. House play action from the 42 is pass incomplete, overthrown. Got a couple of receivers out there. One of them, number 3, Anthony Graham. Double coverage by Foothill. Pass incomplete, had too much air on it. Third and 1-1 for Ridgeview.
Well, Mark, Josh Powell was deep on that on a post pattern. He was open. Foothill single covered defensively and overthrown by House, the quarterback. But again, Ridgeview had a chance there. Good protection for the quarterback. He threw the ball down the field nicely. Just overthrew his receiver just a tad on that.
Had to loft that pass a little bit more than he did. Ridgeview, a couple of receivers to each side, actually 1-1. Split backs. House to Powell on a draw, slips and falls down. They'll lose about a half yard. Fourth down for Ridgeview. Will they punt it? Will they go for it in this situation? Looks like they're going to punt it and try to keep Foothill deep in their own field position. Jason West back there had a nice return off a kickoff earlier tonight. So it's Foothill 20, Ridgeview 7. Ridgeview punting from their own 35-yard line. The ball snapped to House. His pass incomplete. Intended for number 32, Vince Galgano. And there's a blocking back, so Ridgeview does go for it. House lining up as a blocking back. The ball snapped to him, rolls out to his right, had a man open. Overthrew him just a bit.
Yeah, it was a really nice disguise that time by Ridgeview, Mark. It really had Foothill fooled. It would have been a first down if the receiver could have caught the ball there. But it was a situation where he just couldn't make the play. But Vince Galgano almost caught it. Nice play by Ridgeview, but didn't work.
Myers on a keeper, puts his head down close to the first down at the 41-yard line. I don't know if the receiver should have had the ball or the pass was just thrown a little bit too far.
Well, Mark, part of the problem that House is having tonight, when he has players open on the flat, instead of lofting the ball, he's throwing the ball on a line drive, trying to, instead of throwing over the defense, he's throwing it, like line drive. He's not leading his men quite right. You've got to loft that ball a little bit to get it over the defensive lineman. He's throwing the ball on the line, and really what he's doing is just overthrowing his men.
First man through. Myron thundering herd to the 35, and first down for Foothill. Foothill trying to put a nail in the coffin of the Wolfpack tonight. Number 32 with a fine run. First and 10 for Troy. 9:50 to play in the ball game. Foothill coaching staff starting to get excited once again this evening. Ned Permetter leaning down. Looks like he wants to play. Went to Wasco High.
Wasco High, I tell you, that is definitely a football power in the South Sequoia League.
That's right. Myers on the keeper to the 30-yard line, showing good speed to the 20. Driven out of bounds. Another first down for the Trojans.
Again,
Myers
Mark,
looking really good running that option.
Excuse me, Mark. Again, one of the problems Ridgview's had tonight, Mark, is a lack of speed on the outside. And really Myers and West, the quarterbacks, have been able to expose the lack of team speed. Seems like Ridgview's got some good size in the interior line, but when you get wide on them, they tend to have a little bit of a problem with their speed, and that's really hurt them. And normally teams who don't do very well normally don't have a lot of speed. If you're a good football team, or if you've got good speed, you're going to be a good football team. They lack a little bit of speed on the outside. That's hurt them tonight.
Awanavis breaks a tackle, stays on his feet, tripped up at the 10-yard line. Number 71 in the backfield, Jacob Greenwald for Ridgeview. 9 minutes plus to play in the game, 20-7 Foothill. And the Trojans looking for more, looking for more.
You know, Mark, it's a really pleasant evening here, a fall day here at the Foothill campus in Bakersfield, California. The Foothill Trojans. Not as good as USC, but they're the Foothill Trojans. Remember that.
Black and gold. Hurd gets away from a down lineman, spins his way to about the 6-yard line. Now a late flag. Maybe some extracurricular activity. Some extra words said on the field. But his face mask against Ridgeview, I think the third time that has happened tonight. As you saw Hurd trying to spin away from a potential tackler. Somebody got a piece of the bar.
Well, Mark, this game goes so much on momentum, and when Ridgeview really couldn't get anything going on in the last offensive series, Foothill took over in good field position and now has been able to march down the field very effectively.
And the Trojans driving it down the Wolfpack's throat. Great fake and inside handoff, I think, to Hurd. I couldn't tell who had the ball, Myers or Awanavis.
Myron Hurd had the ball, Mark, straight up the middle.
Number 32. Likes to do the tough work for Foothill. Defensive end, fullback on offense. Runs up the middle. Or down to the 1-yard line.
Mark, Myron goes at 6'2", 210, fullback senior, and does a great job blocking for a run of his, and also is a fine runner between the tackles.
At 2nd and goal for the Trojans. He's lined behind Myers. Awanavis to the outside, touchdown, Foothill! Ismail with his 3rd touchdown tonight. Scappers on the right side. Foothill have been running Hurd up the middle. So that closed in the Ridgeview defense to shut down the middle. Ismail goes to the outside, 2 yards. And his 3rd TD of the night for the Trojan running back. He had 6 coming into the game. He has 9 for the year. 26-7 Trojans. Here's the extra point attempt. Myers kicks it up. It is good. It looked good. It is good. His best one of the night. Straight up, split the uprights. 27-7 Foothill, 7:43 to play in the ball game, and the Trojans are running away with it.
Well, Mark, you know, we talked about it. You bang, 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 bang up the middle, and you get that defense thinking inside, and then what you do is then use a Renovus to get to the outside, and that's what Foothill did on that. Myron Hurd is such a force up the middle, and then you can use a Renovus to get to the outside with his great speed. So Foothill, their offensive line used some great blocking angles to push their men inside, and then Renovus was able to run to the right side and score easily a 2-yard run. So again, Foothill dominating here in the second half.
Just like you said, Ismail has such quick feet. He gets those 2 and 4 and 5 yards very quickly. After Myron Hurd does the tough running up the middle. And a 3rd touchdown for Ismail Awanavis. Foothill kicking it off. Taylor Myers plays quarterback. Kicks PATs, kicks off for Foothill, number 14, junior. Fine runner, does a good job of the option for the Trojans of Ned Permenter. Permenter still walking anxiously on the sidelines with a 20-point lead. Nice kick by Myers. Comes to Grant, 15, 20-yard line. A little bit of opening. Thrown down to the 30-yard line on the far side by number 51 for the Trojans, Arnaldo Cueto, down lineman for Foothill. On the kickoff team. The guys that like to terrorize their opponents. Let's see what the Wolfpack can do. 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line. As they have the ball on the right hash mark. Coming out wide left for Wolfpack, Robert Alvidrez. I don't think he's caught a pass tonight. Number 80 is Jason Grant. These receivers for Ridgeview have been very quiet as far as receptions go. Vince Galgano lining up at fullback for Ridgeview. Dalen Powell there at tailback for the Wolfpack. Scat House goes to the sideline.
Well, Mark, I was going to say is that Foothill, I thought, really came out the second half today. After that first drive by Ridgeview, settled down, got their running game going, started to reestablish themselves on the offensive line, and took control of this football game midway in the third quarter, and of course now lead handily 27-7. I think it's all Foothill now.
It's going to be a Trojan party tonight. House play action. It's a far out to Grant. He's got it out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Jason Grant, number 80, the flanker with the catch. On the coverage, Stephen Hernandez of Foothill. First and 10 for the Wolfpack. In Trojan territory to 33.
Well, Mark, surprisingly, Foothill is not playing with extra defensive backs in the secondary there. They were single covering, and the receiver got wide on him down the field. So I am a little surprised, and the Foothill's not gone to more of a prevent defense here, because really Ridgeview has to throw almost on every down.
I think it's time to bring in Dion. Prime time. 7:25 to play in a ball game. House to Dalen Powell. It's a good opening. Breaks to the outside. 20. Stays on his feet. 15. And knocked out of bounds. Close to the first down marker. Dalen Powell, number 25.
Mark, Dalen Powell, and we've talked about it earlier, he shows a tremendous amount of balance. I mean, not only does he have great vision and explosiveness, but he also has balance. I mean, he's very difficult to knock off his feet. He runs with his feet wide, and he's just a hard runner, especially for a 150-pounder. He runs with a lot of authority.
I think you find that in a lot of great running backs, whether it be professional, college, or high school, especially guys that are smaller. They have the quickness, they have the speed, the explosiveness, but they have that vision on the field, and as you said, they have great balance. Has to do with footwork. House slips, wobbles it into the end zone, incomplete. And a flag is down. The pass intended for Grant. Holding him, I think, was Stephen Hernandez, number 11. Had to be defensive holding against Foothill.
Well, again, Mark, they've been working on Hernandez, the right cornerback for Foothill, and again, he's not getting any help with the strong or free safety there. He's handling the receiver all by himself, and again, that time he was beaten on the play and just grabbed the receiver. But of course, holding penalty is a lot better than a touchdown. That could have been a touchdown for Ridgeview. But again, he probably should get a little bit of help here, especially late in the game when they're throwing the football a lot.
Grant's about 5'10", Hernandez 5'7". I would love to go against a 5'7" DP any time of the day, any time of a game.
Mark, when you played, it wouldn't matter if they were 6'2", you took them all.
You don't see too many DBs that are 6'2", though, in high school. Now, I talked about a guy that's 5'7" or 5'8". I would love to go against him any time, especially one-on-one. House to Powell up the middle. Inside the 10 to about the 8. They push him back. But a forward progress would have to be around the 10. 7 minutes to play in a ball game. 27-7 in favor of Troy over the Wolfpack. Looks like Foothill will be 3-3-1 after tonight's game. 1-0 in the Southeast Yosemite League. Ridgeview 0-7 and 0-2.
Well, you talked about not having tall defensive backs. Remember Parker played for BHS a couple years ago. He was about 6'2" or 6'3". He played free safety on defense, so he's one of the tallest ones I remember playing.
And he's a wide receiver at USC, but doesn't catch too many passes. Dalen Powell goes in, breaks to the outside. Great job by Foothill. Hernandez coming back to make the tackle. Along with a few other Trojans. They did not allow Powell to get to the outside, forced him to cut inside. And he's to the 9-yard line. Third down for Ridgeview. 6 minutes plus to play in a ball game. Wide left, Eddie Valdez for the Wolfpack. Grant wide right. I formation for Ridgeview. 3rd and 7. House. A little mix up. Rolling to his right. Will he throw it? Will he run it? Fires into the end zone. Intercepted by Jason West. I think he'll sit down and take the touchback. I think House could have run that play close to the first down marker, decided to throw it. And missed very badly his intended receiver. And Jason West sitting back there like Bernie Williams of the Yankees coming up with a pick.
Well, Mark, he rolled out to his right, House, and he did have time to throw the football. Nobody was open. Foothill had a prevent defense. They flooded the secondary with a lot of defensive backs. Nobody was open, and I agree with you. He could have probably ran the ball in. Instead, he forced the ball, and West, of course, made the interception and touchback in the end zone. So the ball comes out to the 20. First down for Foothill with 5:37 left in the football game.
Jason playing free safety for Foothills. Had a fine game tonight. A nice kickoff return. Does a good job back there at DB with a lot of quickness. Also a very heady player for the Trojans. 27-7 in favor of Foothill. So Ridgeview has had a fumble. And I remember there was the quarterback fumbled the snap when they were really in the ball game in the third quarter. They lost that. They had a reception and a fumble earlier in the ball game, which was picked up by Foothill. INT right there. They've had about 3 face masking penalties. And some poor snaps from the center. At any rate, it's going to be a victory for the Foothill Trojans. Under 5 minutes to play in the game. As Foothill will try to run out the clock here. Kick the ball on the ground. Myron Hurd doing honors. They're at the 40-yard line. 2nd and 4 for Foothill. Myers looking to the sidelines for the next play.
Well, Mark, there's not much to say. I think the second half really has been pretty much all Foothill. They really dominated the line of scrimmage. Richards made some mistakes on the special teams and some turnovers, and that's really been the difference.
Now a fumble. Ridgeview will fall on it. Hand off to one of the running backs and simply just lost the ball, so they give Ridgeview the football right back in Foothill territory.
Mark, I know Foothill's leading 27-7, but I can tell you one person who's not very happy right now, and that's Coach Ned Permenter. I watched him down on the sidelines, and he is not a happy camper with these turnovers. He does not like sloppy football. He knows that Foothill has to get better if they're going to defeat EB and BHS. They're not playing at a level that's going to do that right now.
And in that situation, as I mentioned, Foothill was just looking to chew up some of the clock, and they fumbled the ball on not even a play where the player was hit. That's what you call an unforced error. They have a lot of those in tennis. It shouldn't happen that much in football, though. House to throw it. Now trying to get away and thrown down. I think number 78 for Foothill, David Carasales. 6'1", 290. Almost threw him out of his jersey.
Mark, he's 6'1", 290, a junior, so things are looking good for him coming back next year. He'll probably one of those players that goes both ways. But again, when you have a team down, you've got to go for the killer instinct. And tonight, Foothill had a chance to run out the clock. Just not lack of concentration. They fumbled the ball. That's something that Coach Permenter is going to work on this week.
That also means their quarterback draw play to Dalen Powell. Midfield 50. Look at that footwork. Hit and dropped it to 42. Nice tackle by number 87 for the Trojans, Michael Sanders. It was downfield just a bit. 3:23 on the clock. 27-7 in favor of the Trojans. Ridgeview with the ball in Foothill territory at the 41. 3rd and 7 for the Wolfpack.
Mark, we talked a lot about Rodney Lyle tonight, but another player who's been just as impressive is Jacob Greenwald for Ridgeview in the offensive line.
Number 71.
Gone both ways, and he has just been just as outstanding as Rodney Lyle has been tonight. A player really underrated.
House to throw it. Flips it wide. It'll be incomplete. Intended for Grant. Might be calling a defensive holding penalty against Foothill on the other side. I don't know if it's against Hernandez, who was covering Grant, or somebody in deep. Flag was thrown from the far side. We've had a lot of defensive holding penalties tonight. This one against Foothill. Both teams have been guilty at least 2 or 3 times.
Well, Mark, I think one of the reasons why is neither one of these teams has seen any team pass the ball that much. Both these teams are running teams, and I think both defenses are seeing more passes than they normally do, and I don't think the defensive backs are really used to getting that many passes thrown against them, and so the unfamiliarity of routes being run and trying to cover one-on-one, so you're seeing a lot of holding.
Well, I think if you want to consider yourself a good defensive player, you got to be able to play both types of defense, against the run and against the pass. You can't be one-dimensional. Powell, spin move, 25. Hit and drop by 2 Trojans at the 24-yard line.
But remember this, Mark, anytime you're a football player, you get better when you see something run over and over, familiarity. And the Foothill defense does not see a lot of teams throw the football against them. So since they're not familiar with it, it's very difficult to stop and to recognize what's going on.
Remember last week, Trevor Lancaster had a couple of touchdown receptions against Foothill. He actually had 3. One was called back. That was just like about a 10-yard pass, and he simply outran the defense all the way down the sidelines. Then he caught a long pass and a shorter one. So they saw a little bit of passing last week with Vallis and company against them. And 2:15 to play in the ball game, 27-7 Trojans. House looking right now, looking left, fires it incomplete. Behind and too high to the intended receiver, Anthony Graham. I don't think Jerry Rice could have caught that ball. Third down, 3rd and 7 for the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack came out smoking in the second half. A very strong initial drive, especially Dalen Powell. They closed the gap at 14-7. Stout Foothill came back. Quarterback fumbled the snap from center. Foothill took over. Awanabi scored from 30 yards away, and that changed momentum back to Foothill. House to throw as a receiver, falls down. The pass incomplete to the end zone. Receiver number 8, Eddie Valdez. Looked like he was going towards the flag, but slipped and fell. 1:59 to play in the ball game. And we have a 4th down situation for the Wolfpack, 4th and a long 7. This might be the last time they have the ball in this game tonight offensively.
Well, Mark, there's not much you can say. I think Ridgeview's made a good account of themselves tonight. I thought they played hard. You know, they were aggressive. Just a few too many mistakes on the special teams and offensively, and field position really hurt them tonight.
I talked about the fact earlier they have a lot of juniors in their team, so this whole season has been a learning experience. That's a penalty probably against Hernandez of Foothill. The pass intended for number 80, Jason Grant, and Hernandez was holding his arm, not enabling Grant to catch the football.
Well, Mark, it's a situation where Hernandez has really been, they've been really picking on him tonight as a cornerback, and he's not getting much help from the rest of the secondary. He's been going a lot of one-on-one coverage, and the Ridgeview receivers have really been giving him a very difficult time. So he's had several penalties tonight holding, but you know, if he doesn't hold, those are 6 points.
Well, it's a 1st down situation for the Wolfpack at the Foothill 12-yard line. 1:52 to play in the ball game. Wide left, number 3, Anthony Graham. House with a count, pitch back. Dalen Powell running wide right. He's hit and driven out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Foothill coming up very swiftly on defense. A nice stop by the Trojans. Troy.
Mark, I don't really understand those plays. I mean, you've got 1:31 left on the clock. The clock's running. Run the football. You need to throw the football here because you've got to get the ball in the end zone. Running now is not going to do you much good. So, you know, it's a situation where you put that ball in the air and you try to get a quick score, then you do an onside kick. Let's go.
2nd down, 2nd and 11 for Ridgeview. House pitch back to Powell once again. Will he throw it back to the quarterback? The quarterback is open. Receives the ball at the 11, tries to cut back, and swarmed over by Foothill at the 10-yard line. I saw it coming on the way.
Well, Mark, the situation there is Dalen Powell takes the pitch to the right side, but again, he slows down and he looks at his quarterback. It's kind of like a pitch and then throw back to the quarterback. He looks at him the whole way, and it was not disguised very well, and the Foothill defense really had it, you know,
normally that
out.
pass is not thrown to the inside of the defense. Normally throw back to the quarterback. He's going to be looping out farther to the left. That ball was caught, but he was really in the midst of the Foothill defense.
Again, Ridgeview waited too long on that play, and when he's open, throw it right away. He waited, defense came up and was able to make the play.
Let's move it. Dalen Powell, good opening up the middle. spins his way close to the goal line, fumbles the ball, and Ridgeview might have recovered it, but about 8 yards back from where it should have been. He was able to run to about the 4-yard line and fumble the ball backwards. We had timeout Wolfpack. 12 seconds to play in a ball game. This should be the last play, if not the second to the last play of the game. So Dennis will have an interview with, I'm sure, Foothill head coach Ned Permenter, or one of the Trojans, maybe one of their assistant coaches, or a key player in their team tonight. One of their defensive linemen, or Taylor Myers, or Jason West, who knows? That's up to him. As Ridgeview down 27-7. Looking to score here as the ball's at the Foothill 12-yard line. The Wolfpack fans beginning to disperse from Foothill Stadium. It will be a homecoming victory for the Trojans. They led at 14-0 at the half. Ridgeview closed at 14-7 early in the third quarter. Now it's 27-7. So Ridgeview looking to score. Receivers to each side. I formation behind House. Calling his signals. Rolling to his right. Looking for the end zone. Fires it. Incomplete. 2 receivers in the same area and 2 defenders for Foothill. As the clock is stopped at 5 seconds. Never can figure out why 2 receivers would run the pattern within 2 yards of each other. You have to open up some space there in the end zone. Maybe they're looking for a tip of some sort. At 5 seconds to play, that would be it, and Foothill would just sit on the ball, as that was the final play of the game for Ridgeview tonight, at least offensively, as the pass was incomplete. Well, the Trojans will take over at their own 11-yard line, most likely, with number 13 in there. Humberto Cordova probably just take a knee, and yes, he does. Final score tonight from Foothill High School, homecoming victory for the Trojans. Foothill 27, the Ridgeview Wolfpack 7. Foothill is now 3-3-1 on the year, and they're 1-0 in the Southeast Yosemite League. Ridgeview falls to 0-7 and 0-2 in the SEYL. So a victory for the Trojans of Ned Permenter and a loss for Bill Richardson of Ridgeview. The team played hard, but too many mistakes. Those would be turnovers, some of them penalties. After they were able to cut the lead down to 14-7, Foothill won going away 27-7. Howard Ivy scores 3 times for Foothill tonight. Myron Hurd runs hard offensively, makes a lot of plays defensively. A good performance by Foothill, but they need to improve if they are to defeat BHS or East High in their league. 27-7 the final score, and my brother will have some interviews down on the field. I'm Mark Heffernan, and you have been watching the Prep Football Game of the Week exclusively on CNN SI, Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
The ravages of time. Just like paint, tape can oxidize, and oxygen is slowly eating away your most cherished family videos. A baby's first steps, first words, first birthday. These memories, once lost, can never be recovered. You can't stop time, but you can fight oxidation by duplicating your videos at Time Warner Productions. Our state-of-the-art repair and duplication services can help preserve your memories for future generations. Time Warner Productions, located at 3600 North Select Avenue in the Time Warner Cable Building. Holiday Ford Lincoln Mercury is clearing out the 98s. Now we have $1,000 cash back, plus 0.9% financing on Escorts, Contours, Mystiques, Tracers, and Rangers. Now that's real savings. How about a red carpet lease on a new 98 Explorer? Come in and buy one, and the first payment up to $500 is on us. Don't make a wrong turn. Make the turn for Lerdo Highway in Shafter. We're easy to get to from both the 5 and 99 freeways. Say habla español.
Come to Holiday.
Over the last 60 years, Chan Younger has helped thousands of accident victims. Oil field work is some of the most dangerous work around. Many people are seriously injured or killed as a result of faulty equipment and poor safety training. We didn't want this to continue, So we fought until changes in oil field safety were made. Accidents still happen, and when they do, we'll be there for you.
Hi, we're here on the post-game show. My name's Dennis Heffernan. We're talking to the fullback of the winning team tonight. Foothill won 27-7. Myron Hurd's with me. Myron, you guys played an excellent game tonight. You really got your running game going. What was the difference tonight as opposed to some of the games you played earlier?
Our blocking and being able to hold on to the ball made a big difference. Our other games, we fumbled the ball a lot. This game, we were able to hold on to the ball and execute.
We know you guys put a lot of pressure on the defense. You running up the middle and then Ridgeview around the outside really puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And I thought tonight you were very effective up the middle, running very hard. And their defense, I thought you really wore them down.
Yeah, you know, we just came out here hard, you know, trying to do what we had to do, and it paid off. You know, we got a victory.
Well, you know, your team is 2-3-1 right now, but you're off to a good start in league play, 1-0. So how do you feel about the rest of the season as far as East Bakersfield coming up and Bakersfield High?
I feel that we're going to do real good during season. We got a lot of guys getting better. We got a lot of guys out for injuries, but they're coming back next week, so I think we're going to have a more stronger team.
Well, good. Keep up the good work. Congratulations tonight, and we'll see you next week. All right, this is Dennis Heffernan reporting for Time Warner Cable. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week.